Hello friends, I am Jasu Bakuhatsu and welcome back to Let's Play Ristar. So yeah, I was talking about in the previous video, I got so bogged down in kind of the minutiae of what was going on screen and what's different from the North American version that I didn't really get a chance to talk about kind of a lot of sort of the reasons why I like this game, and just to talk about the game in general, and that's pretty much going to happen again here because I forgot. So this bonus handle is was a real bastard for me way back in the day. This was actually the last bonus stage that I ever found when I was, going through the game as a kid and trying to get all the bonus stages and actually 100% the game. And what is that? Oh my god, I've never seen that. I wonder if that's another thing they fixed for the North American version. I have never seen that before. But anyways, yeah, and that's just this was the last, and yeah, it was kind of difficult the first time through. Some of the bonus stages are a bit tricky, some of them are kind of well hidden, but this was the last one that I ever found. I scoured every inch of this level multiple times, and it was just go up and to the left at the start of the level, stupid. It's just oh, I was such a dumb kid, you guys have no idea. But anyways, so yeah. Another tangent that I just felt the need to share about. And yeah, we're kind of on some non-standard gameplay here as well. We're on kind of, yeah, the obligatory water section for this game, which is, yeah, I think this is probably the third or fourth LP where I've had the opportunity to talk about just water levels in video games and just the way that different games handle them and the way that games handle them good or poorly or however. And this is definitely one of the games that handles the underwater segments really, really well. As you can see, Ristar is quite mobile. You've got your nice little speed bursts that you can do by hitting the jump button. You've still got your regular grab attacks, just as effective. It's just yeah, you got a lot of freedom of motion. It's really fast, actually. You can get a lot more speed underwater than you can on land, which is makes perfect sense. If you actually watch swimmers in real life, you can actually go pretty fast in the water if you know how to swim. I don't know where a lot of video games have this idea that underwater equals super duper slow and everything's got to move at half speed for some reason, but no, things underwater tend to move pretty darn fast, and Ristar actually got that right. So it's yeah, this is thankfully one of those games where the underwater segments, there's nothing wrong with them whatsoever. It's just a nice little change of pace from the regular gameplay. Although with that said, I do kind of question the positioning of this water level and kind of the structure of the game overall. It's we've barely had a chance to get used to the regular mechanics, and now you're throwing water levels at me. It's what the heck? It's yeah, just really strange. I don't know. Just a minor little niggling thing that's always kind of struck me as weird about this game. So there's this one thing I forgot to talk about in the previous video is one of the most obvious changes from between the Japanese and North American versions. As you can see, Ristar is a lot happier in this version. You can see he's got this nice little smile on his face. He kind of goes into this little grimace, this little serious face when he's smacking enemies around and stuff. But other than that, he's just really happy. And if you leave him idle for a while, and then he just for some reason the jellyfish part of this little mini boss fight is the easiest part. It's the other guys throw stuff at you, and the jellyfish, they don't even hurt you when they're in the background. This is the easiest part of this. But yeah, anyways, Ristar is looks a lot happier. He doesn't have the angry eyebrows that they gave him in the North American version, and he has some extra idle animations as well for some reason that they just took out from the North American version for no good reason, as far as I can tell. He doesn't seem to want to show off any of them for me right now, but trust me, they're there. If you leave him alone for a little while, Ristar does a bunch of little things where yeah, it'll be just swinging his arms, doing a little happy dance, just turn it. Sometimes he even speaks, which is really cool. And yeah, they took all that out from the North American version. I don't know why that is. It's just like I said, really strange changes that they made, I think. Oh, and speaking of little, and as I've always also sort of talked about in pretty much every LP I've ever done, just those little touches like that, idle animations and stuff like that, those kind of little bits of flavorful touches in animation, I just really like in video games overall. And just in principle, it just really bothers me that they took that out for the North American version. And speaking of nice little animation touches, look at the animation on the surface of the water when you jump out. You get a little splash when you break coming out, and a big splash when you drop back in. Just like, it's like realistic. I don't know what to call it other than like realistic water physics, which it isn't really, but like, that's kind of how things behave when they like break the surface of the water coming out as opposed to coming back in. It's just amazing that they actually did that. I can't think of any other game that has different animations for coming out of the water versus going into it. It's just, and yeah, this is, if it wasn't obvious already, this is an amazing looking game. Honestly, I think this is probably maybe the best looking like 2D sprite based game of all time. Like, notwithstanding stuff like your Vanillaware. I'm talking like traditional like 2D from like that, classic 2D from back in the 16-bit era and earlier, or even the 32-bit era. I'm actually hard pressed to think of any PlayStation 2D games that looked better than this. It's just like, oh my god, so many colors, and it's just so vibrant, and everything's so well animated, and there's just so many nice little touches. This is an amazing looking game. This is honestly, like, just to look at, like, even just looking at arbitrary screenshots of the game, this is just like one of my favorite games of all time just to look at. I just absolutely love. It's mainly a color thing. They like use so many different colors. You'd almost think that it would be hard to not be like some games, especially like Genesis games, I find do kind of take advantage of like the Genesis's ability to put out like a bunch of different colors on screen, and a lot of games kind of tend to abuse that ability to the point where they end up looking kind of garish or kind of have an unfocused sort of aesthetic to them. And wow, I got massacred there. This is like a weird little glitch here where, oh, and now it's coming back up. So yeah, you saw I did like a little bit of finesse there to get up to the top before the water rose all the way. And yeah, if you go through there before you wait for the water to go to the top, you go into the next room. So yeah, you'll see, normally what they expect you to do is to wait till the water gets up here when you get in this room, and then you can just like jump up there and then hit that face up there easily. But if you kind of glitch it out by taking that shortcut by bouncing up the walls and bouncing off enemies in the previous room, you end up kind of stuck in a place where it's like you've got to climb up a wall with the face dropping frogs on you, and it's like kind of looks like, the one bit of like an unintended, I don't even know, it's not an exploit, just kind of like just unintended bits of like skillful play that the designers didn't seem to account for, which is really the only instance of that, I think, in this game that I can think of. But yeah, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, just how or I think I was done with that actually. Just how a lot of Genesis Genesis games in particular just tend to abuse the ability to display many. Yeah, I was done talking about that. Oh yeah, another minor difference. I think pretty much the only gameplay difference between this and the North American version. There used to be little starfishes on the ledge next to the water in like various points in this level, and basically you'd run into the starfish and then it would kind of latch onto you and then explode after a few seconds if you didn't jump back in the water, and it would also slow you down a bit. And yeah, for some reason that was an addition to the North American version. Those starfish were not present in the original Japanese version, although in some of those segments where you had like the little engines like shooting jets of water or something, where you had to kind of go against the current, you could see that same starfish sprite was still used originally, just not as an enemy. And here you can see we've got a continue. That's the way you get continues in this game. It's just by clearing clearing the bonus stages really quickly. You might have noticed I'm actually kind of going out of my way to get points to get the point gems at certain points in this game. That's just mainly just because I like uncovering hidden things in games. So not really. I mean, yeah, the gems just give you score. A weird little Easter egg. So you kind of rattle the cages as you swim past them. Kind of just a nice little touch there. But yeah, if you rattle them enough, you apparently like murder the fish inside them or something. Or if you like rattle it, yeah, you get that little scream. Like, just listen to that. Like, Ristar is just, like, rattling those dudes to death. It's insane. And actually, I used to think that there was actually a gameplay effect to that, because this boss actually has an attack where he just crosses the screen and then has this big school of fish, similar to the fish you saw in those cages, will just swim past with him. And I always thought that by killing those fish, you would prevent him from using that attack, because I'd never seen him do it if I killed the fish. But actually, when I was just doing a test playthrough of this game, I killed the fish and he did the attack, so apparently it was just randomness. And this is an interesting boss, actually. He has a lot of different... There's the attack right there. So yeah, as you can see, killing the fish in the cages does not prevent him from using that one. Kind of an interesting boss. This guy has a lot more different attacks than a lot of the other bosses in this game, which is a bit neat, but he's got so many, actually, that he's got one really rare attack that I almost never see him do, so I really didn't want to waste a lot of time just waiting around to show it off to you guys. But yeah, that was the second boss. That's Stage 2, Water Level Down With. And as before, I'm gonna run silent over the round clear music, just because you guys just gotta hear it. It's so good every time. And yeah, with that, yeah, thanks as always for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.